I could thrill you all for hours and hours talking about bookkeeping, but I've only got 8 minutes. But this is my first presentation to you guys, so I'll talk a little bit about who I am and where I've come from and what I do in the bookkeeping space. Thanks. So this is me. This is all the people who matter most to me. My partner and I, Eric, on the right-hand side there. You're not there, Campbell, sorry. I actually didn't have a good shot of you, that's why. And my family and nieces and nephews. So we're from Sydney, Eric and I. We both live here on the Gold Coast, but all of our family are down in Sydney. I didn't always start out in the finance space, so when I left school I actually went away and joined the army. I went away, did my training and became a combat engineer, but I always wanted to go to uni, so I maintained a job part-time in the Army Reserve actually, and I went away and studied a health science degree. So I worked in allied health as a radiation therapist for about 15 years in the hospital system. But sadly, I never really enjoyed my job. I had a really good career and I got a lot out of it and I wasn't bad at what I did, but I couldn't imagine doing it for the rest of my career, and it was very rigid, very tunnelled what I could do. So I started having a think about what my options were going to be. I studied some postgraduate business, and from there I figured out that the finance and accounting stuff was what I was really good at and what I actually enjoyed doing. So I did an accounting degree, and when I started doing that I went and worked for a core in finance and managed some of the trust accounts for the hotels on the Gold Coast. So while I was doing that, I was going to finish up my degree and I had to think about what I wanted to do next, because it was always part of my plan that I wanted to work for myself. So I was really looking for that flexibility and autonomy that I didn't get from being in the corporate environment. So that's when I came across First Class Accounts, which is a franchise business, and I bought into the business last year. So now I work for myself from a home office, so all of my clients deal directly with me. I don't outsource any of my work, and I don't have employees at the moment, so it's just me. And I take on all sorts of clients. So I've got big ones and small ones, and I can help people with any of the accounting softwares. A lot of people come to me and they don't actually have a bookkeeping solution yet. So if they're managing their accounts on an Excel spreadsheet and are looking to upgrade and get on the cloud and have a proper solution, that's something that I help people set up as well. So these are some of the clients that I've helped do some work for. So two sort of main types of clients I handle, and they're the smaller service-based businesses and larger trade-based businesses as well. I always think about bookkeeping like it's the most hands-on way of getting involved in people's business, and that's probably what I like most about it. So I get the exposure of dealing with different people, seeing the way that they do business and also seeing the way that they do finance. So I learn a lot in handling lots of different types of businesses. I say I don't have an ideal referral because every time I pick up a different client, I learn something pretty new and interesting actually about the business and about that person and how they do business. So it's useful to me to take on any sort of business as a client. So the smaller service-based businesses are the ones that I really enjoy helping. So these are the guys who typically do their own invoicing and billing, and usually come to me if they need, say, the bank accounts reconciled to their accounting software. So there's sort of three main areas that I help these people with, and that's the money coming in and out, and then we get onto the BAS, which is closing out the end of their quarter, and then the reporting section where we can have a look at where you are for that period. Think about, are your debt levels decreasing? Have we got enough cash to pay expenses for the next period? So it's just a really nice way for service businesses to stay on top of their finances. And then there's the larger trade-based businesses. So I have a few tradies on my books actually, and I like helping tradies. I do the same sorts of things, so the bank reconciliation, the BAS and the reporting, but in between there I help people with their invoicing, their billing and some of their stock control and inventory as well if they need it. And then there's payroll. I actually don't really like to advertise that I do payroll. It's one of the least enjoyable and least rewarding things. It's messy, it's complicated, it's fraught with issues and fair work and HR problems. Anybody who pays employees will know that. But it is an important one. No, I will say something else about payroll, and that's part of the advantage of me being in the franchise is that we have a strategic alliance with a HR body, the Payroll Association, the Australian Bookkeepers Network. So when people come to me with questions, sometimes their industry bodies can't even answer their questions, so I'm able to get an answer for them as well if they need it. A question that comes up a lot is bookkeeper or accountant. Do you need a bookkeeper or an accountant? I think that in most circumstances you probably need both. If you're a large enough business, you definitely need both. But if you're a smaller business, what your accountant will do for you is help you sort out the structure. So whether you need to be a sole trader or a company or trust, give you some advice about what's going to work best for you, help you out with the advisory, and then also the tax. So the front end and the back end of the business is what the accountant will be able to help you with, whereas a bookkeeper will help you with the day-to-day transactions. Excuse me. So reconciling your bank accounts, keeping you on time, keeping your payroll up to date, and doing your BAS and GST. So the BAS is probably the section where the accountant and bookkeeper will overlap. So we can both do it for you. If you use an accountant to do your BAS, you'll probably pay a little bit more. You wouldn't use an accountant to do any of the bookkeeping work because it's just not worth paying an accountant to do that kind of thing for you. But in some circumstances, if you can manage your own accounts and you are reconciling and doing your own transactions, there's no reason why a good accountant can't help you out with the BAS. So do you need a bookkeeper at all if you're just using an accountant to help you? And I think that if you don't enjoy handling your own finances, if you are a little bit confused about whether you're doing it right, or if you resent the time that you're putting into it, it's probably a sign that you need to outsource it to a bookkeeper. Any of those things, if you don't enjoy it or you're not able to keep it up to date and on time, it's really worth considering getting someone else to help you with it because it's such an important aspect of the business. When it comes to maintaining your finances, I always think about large companies. The CEO is the person at the top of the business and the CFO, the financial officer, is the one on his right-hand side. And that's because large companies operate so heavily around the financial side of the business. Sometimes small businesses don't operate that way or they don't have that at the front of their mind, that their finances are the most important thing that they need to think about. And sometimes waiting until the end of the tax year or the end of the following tax year to sort something out means that you've let a year or two go by without really understanding the situation that you're in. And having a bookkeeper keep a finger on the pulse on a regular basis will just help you be better positioned to get the information you need so that you can make better decisions about whether or not you need to grow your business, or even if the business is viable and that you're able to cover your expenses for the next quarter. That's 8. Cool. So some things just to listen out for if you know anybody. I'm actually looking for 1 or 2 tradies. A couple of bigger ones would be good. So if anybody knows a tradie, if their partner is managing the books for them, there's a pretty high chance that they're not happy about it. And I hear it a lot. People argue a lot because their partner's managing the books and the family and all the rest of it and their own job as well. I think that it's probably a good idea to outsource their bookkeeping to a bookkeeper. If they're complaining about the hours that they put in or if they're a couple of quarters behind, I'm happy to have a chat. If you're not sure, I'm happy to talk to anybody actually. I give out more free information than I probably should, but I don't mind talking about it, or if you've got questions or you want to find out if it's a good solution for you, please come and talk to me. I'm happy to have a chat about it. Thanks.
Is there any questions people have of Sarah? No? No? Okay, that's fine. So, her PDF, etc.